So we're all set.
We discussed the attendee.
Okay, so I'll call the Town of Groton Planning and Zoning Commission meeting to order. First item is roll call. Al Zada.
Here.
Michael Kane.
Here.
Sue Sutherland.
Here.
Steve Hudacek.
Here.
Kevin Fitfall.
Here.
And we have our new member, Lauren Goff here. So we have our full attendance tonight.
We do.
First agenda item is a special hearing 24004 Danger Bar. Will the secretary read the notice?
Notice is hereby given that the following public hearing will be held on August 13th, 2024 at 7 p.m. in Community Room 2, Town Hall Annex 134 Groton Long Point Road, and virtually via the Zoom platform to hear the following: special permit number 240004, 12 Water Street, Unit B1, PIN 261918305500, MDD zones. Proposal is to change the use of a 507 square foot commercial space to a drinking establishment located within the MDD. Review is per sections 5.1-9.A and 9.4 of the zoning regulations. Dominique Jauke, Mystic Water Street LLC, owner, Mantis Loricus Danger Bar LLC, applicant. The Zoom link will be posted to the town's website. Meeting calendar applications are on file and available for public inspection during normal business hours at the Planning Department, 134 Groton Long Point Road, Groton, Connecticut.
So order of the hearing will be to have the applicant make a presentation, staff make a presentation, hear if there are any comments from the public, and then open it up for commissioners. So the applicant.
Yes, the applicant is actually zooming in right now. So let me get rid of this. There he is. All right, there's Montes.
Hello. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah,
We can hear you.
State your name and address.
Okay, terrific. Thank you. My name is Mantas Laudeckis. I'm the owner of the Danger Bar LLC, located at 12 Water Street, Unit B1, Mystic, Connecticut. And I would like to take a little moment to talk about my project. So a little bit about myself. I wanted to represent myself as well. I've been the resident of Groton Town for the last 5 years. I've been working in a hospitality business for the last 17 years, particularly in Mystic. I've been working for 12 years, so very familiar with the industry. And I wanted to take a moment and talk about a little bit about the factory square building and the Danger Bar. And I would like to share the screen to show you exactly where the property is located. But for some reason, I'm having trouble to share the screen. Okay, share the screen. Here we go. Entire screen. Okay. Okay, can you see the screen?
Yes, we can see the screen, but right now it's a picture of us.
Okay, just give me 1 second. All right, here it is. All right, so I will share the map of the location. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. So this is proposed bar lounge area located, as I said, at 12 Water Street, Factory Square building. It's a 60,000 square foot building that contains residential units and six commercial spaces, including Milestone, Friar Tuck's, Margaritas, Mystic River Chocolate, and Beard Brewery, which is, I think it's going to change the name, and there's going to be a new brewery in there. So as you can see, proposed area is roughly 500 square foot. Previously, it was retail shop, barber shop, as far as I remember, and that was probably 4 or 5 years ago. Can everybody see the location? Is everybody familiar with this location?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, all right. So I'm gonna stop sharing and I'm gonna zoom in. a little bit more. Okay, so just wanted to take a little bit. So the idea is to do to open up a bar, drinking establishment, which it says to offer local people and tourists offer cocktails and small bites and drinks. I always had a dream to own my own restaurant and bar. It is located in downtown area. There will be no changes to the building itself, as all the construction will be interior and minor. While small in size, it is designed to blend seamlessly with the existing businesses in the district. The goal is to enhance rather than disrupt the elderly development and use of our properties in the area. The bar will offer a unique yet harmonious addition to the neighborhood, maintaining the essential characteristics that make this district special. There will be no outdoor patio, ensuring that any noise generated will remain within the interior of the establishment. We do not anticipate any disturbance to the neighborhood residents, as all operations will be conducted indoors. And we are committed to being respectful to our neighbors as part of our project for the Danger Bar. We will be installing soundproof insulation to provide extra noise dampening. This measure aims to minimize any potential disturbance. Also, unlike nearby businesses that feature outdoor patios, our establishment is entirely indoors, highlighting our commitment to minimize impact and maintaining a respectful presence in the community. Parking and access. Hold on one second. Also, setbacks. There is no outdoor patio, as I mentioned. For the buffer, there is a pre-existing natural vegetated buffer behind the building. So that's approximately between 35 to 50 feet within the abutting R7 zone. In regards to the parking, the space allocated for standing and sitting is approximately 250 square foot, which required 5 parking spaces. With the 50% Mystic downtown parking requirement, the site would require only 3 parking spaces, and current landlord is providing 4 parking spaces. The premises can be accessed through the Water Street, passing the courtyard of the Factory Square building. I think that's it. And if you have any other questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Staff may.
Sure. Thank you.
Presentation.
So the required certificates of mailing are all in order. The legal notice has been posted as required. There have been a couple of communications in response to this project. There was a support petition submitted for the project, including 21 local residents and businesses. There was also an opposition letter from Carol Connor. Both of those were in your packets. So as part of this public hearing, the commission has 35 days until you must close the hearing, which would be by the September 10th meeting, and then the decision must be made within 65 days of closing that hearing. This application complies with section 5.1-9A drinking establishments. The 2 conditions of the drinking establishment have been met. There is no proposed outdoor patio. Everything will be internal. And the second one is the vegetated buffer, which is on the back side of the building. And again, as stated, it's approximately 35 to 50 feet 50 feet in width, a natural vegetated buffer. It also meets the special permit criteria in section 9.4-6 of the zoning regs. The proposed use will not have any detrimental effects upon public health, safety, or welfare. And as you've seen, I've already provided a draft motion, which we'll get to in the future.
Okay. So anyone in the public wish to address the commission on this item? If you want to stand up to speak into the microphone, state your name and address.
Hello, my name is Mahmoud Tendogan. You never heard before, probably. Only one in US. 41 Lageland Drive, Mystic, Connecticut. I know this gentleman, and many years he work hospitality business, have a lot of experience, and he's starting small. I hope he will grow up in a few years, hire more employee, good for the town, good for community, good for the tourists. I'm strongly supporting his business, if you allowed it. Thank you very much.
Does anyone else wish to address this? Open it up then to the commissioners. Start with you, Bill. You have any questions, comments?
Not quite sure I have anything, since this is just an internal thing, though it surprised me that you can get, what, 25 people into there? Is 25 people, is that what the capacity looks like it's going to be in there? You only have 6 feet between the two bars, and so it's not going to be much standing besides those stools. So
It's the width is to be accurate is 14 feet. So we aiming to have 28, 29 seats. I think this is the maximum that will be allowed being that small size, because we're going to have to rebuild an ADA compliant bathroom, which is going to be a brand new construction. So the maximum per my knowledge is the 28 seats. So that would be the maximum.
Okay. As far as the parking was concerned, I know the parking ends up being based on the square footage. But
Of the serving area, of the square footage of the serving area.
That's correct. And in this case, you kind of make out like banding because everybody's standing or on stools. So do we have any measure about what the parking would actually be if it were by people?
No, because it's all based upon
All based
floor
on
area.
floor
Yeah,
area.
so
Yeah, for bars,
Per-
that's what
Yep,
it is. It's
yep.
a patron floor area. as
Exactly.
opposed to
Okay,
seats.
all right. Patron floor is usually is around 15 square feet per person. Is the normal.
Well, that definition.
So
Yep.
Yep.
I just wonder if it would back down to that. And I just want to be able to respond to the concern about, here's yet another thing with out parking, though honestly, I'll put on the record, at the moment, Mystic seems to have gotten a respite for parking just because we had a fire on the other side of town, and now there's a whole lot of parking until they build something there. So honestly, right now, there's not a big problem. It's just expensive.
yeah, the patron floor area includes outside areas such as patios, no patios. Sorry, then it goes decks and the like. So that's out that are accessible to a customer, client, participant, visitor, or guest of the facility, except for hallways, stairwells, bathroom areas, and those areas of the building used exclusively by the employees of the establishment. This area shall include, but not limited to, the entire area for seating, standing, assembling, queuing, ordering, and service.
Okay. So I'd say for the record, that standard has failed us with something like this, because if there's, even if it's just 25 people, they're going to arrive in 7 cars or 8 cars or 9 cars. And if we cut that in half, we need a lot more cars on this. So for the moment, we don't have a mechanism to stop that, but we need to take that into consideration for anything future. So not comfortable with just not adding any parking ever. As I say, at the moment, it's really not an issue, and nor do our regulations allow making it an issue right now.
So if it were calculated at a standard restaurant, it would be 1 space per 4 seats.
Yep, that's
So, right.
So I was closer to that. Okay.
Yep.
So in which case we went for 4, which makes a lot more sense, even though that's low. In which case you need 7 divided by 2, which still puts you there with the 4 that you were magically granted of these 4 that somehow Factory Square already has. So we have no way to limit this.
And I should say too, the applicant has provided a copy of his lease that actually shows that he does have 4 dedicated spaces for that. So
Yeah.
just so that's
Dedicated, undedicated spaces.
yes.
That are always full all summer long. So just so we all understand that. All right. Other than that, I I can't see anything to complain about this. I like the lighting that you're adding, you're switching out there to non-glaring lights. Any noise, which I can't imagine to be too great because you don't have enough room for a band in there, so it's just people drinking. Small bites, you said. What kind? You don't have a kitchen in there. What are you providing?
So the small bites will be coming from the third party, and it's gonna be olives, baguettes, chips, anything that can somebody have a bite and yes.
This is snack food. This is
Snack food. Yes,
bar
I like
pretzels.
to. I like to call it small bites.
Okay, yes. Well, across the street, they do small bites and it's $20 a platter. So it's a different thing. All right. All right, that's all for me.
Mike,
I have no questions.
Sue,
No, I don't have any questions.
Steve?
Just a quick one about hours of operation.
That's a good question. So Monday to Friday, we're aiming to be open 4 in the afternoon till 12:01. And the reason for that is being open so late because our businesses within that building are open late as well. So we kind of want to be a destination, and I know Friday is open, Milestone is open. And weekends opening Friday, Saturday, Sunday, opening at 12 and being closed at 1 o'clock. And this time might be adjusted depending on the business needs, meaning that if we need to close earlier, perhaps we would close it earlier.
All right, that's.
I guess, I thought the hours were shorter,
Patio outside.
Yeah.
just patio,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, and that was like 10 o'clock, right?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Okay. I just had one question. On, well, I don't know if the staff, does the fire marshal, has he reviewed this?
Yeah, so this has been sent to the fire marshal, and I know that Montes has been in contact with him.
Does
So,
he have a limit on how many people can be in this space?
not that we've heard. Montes has been talking with them, and the rest of the fire safety stuff is going to be dealt with at the building permit for the interior changes.
Okay.
There's 2 exits.
Yeah.
That can hold a lot of people.
Yeah.
There's 2 exits.
Yeah. No, but it's such a small area. I just
Yeah.
wondered
There's 2
if
exits.
that was any concern or whether it should be posted as to how many people can be in there.
I'm sure there'll be a requirement that'll probably be posted like a maximum of, like Montes said, like a maximum. I'm sure that's, yeah, exactly. I mean, we have it here in the room too. Exactly. Yep.
You can't
Yeah.
get there.
Yeah.
That's all. Does anyone else have any?
Oh, just one question, why are you calling it Danger Bar?
So because we live in Mystic, it's a nautical team. We live in Mystic, and the Danger Bar name came for the there's a sign when the boats are traveling, it's called Rough Danger when the waters are rough. So the name came from this Rough Danger and Danger Bar. Because we want to interior design, we would like to make it as a nautical theme. So it would be a little bit towards like Mystic is, close to the ocean. We have the sailors, so that's where the name came, and it's associated with the nautical theme.
Great, thank you.
Mr. Chair, I have a few questions.
I don't think you can.
Yeah, you just can't participate in the
yeah.
discussion
Yeah,
afterwards.
Or you mean once we close? Yeah. Go ahead, Kim.
So I know there's, we didn't see a floor plan tonight. Have you reviewed the floor plan?
Yes, and as when we come back, we're actually going to come back for a site plan, and it's in that section of it. So yeah, we'll review that at that point. Yep.
Yeah.
This is just for the special permit piece.
Understood. So the parking spots, my understanding was based on the residential use in the apartments is that they were full as far as that parking is concerned. Have we seen what the signage will be, or that be also in the second part?
So, Montes, you want to explain how the parking is working?
Yeah, so there is 32 parking spaces dedicated for the residents, which is within the premises, and then Factory Square building itself has a separate agreement with the Mystic Art Association, which they provide 111 parking spaces.
So these are dedicated at the Mystic Art Association?
Well, not
They
that-
are not, they are based on first come, first serve. So
Oh,
all the
it's our
patients
normal-
that,
our normal
It's a normal validation.
algorithm that's already overloaded, I get it.
Where are
Yeah.
the dedicated spots for residents?
I can share the screen
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
would you like to see the screen?
No,
No, we know.
I think I know where it is, yeah.
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 All right. I thought it was someplace.
So the dedicated, I'm just clarifying. So they're using
Mhm.
District Art Association and the dedicated are within those 32 residential spots are taking 4?
No.
So they're not using any of those spots.
Mm-mm.
Not for businesses.
Not for,
Not
no,
for
correct. yeah.
Right.
Not for businesses, correct.
My only last question on this was, so my understanding on a bar within Connecticut, it must have food and that requirement, I presume, is met without a kitchen.
Yeah.
Montes?
I'll-
Correct. Legislate district, there are 3 types of applications. So the first one is level 1, where you provide small bites or the snacks or pretzels, as we said, or olives or any bites, and that is enough. If you go for level 2, then it is required to have a kitchen and a prep station, which we don't have any room. I would love to have a kitchen there, but unfortunately there is no room. There is no room in there.
Great, thank you for that clarification. That's all.
Okay. So there are no other questions?
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, do you want to say Florian's?
No experience, so.
Well, I wouldn't say that, but
No, I mean on the commission.
Right.
So all we want to do is close the.
I don't have any questions. I have experience asking questions, but I don't have any in particular right now.
So if no one has anything else, I'll make a motion then to close the public hearing.
second.
And second, any discussion on the motion to close the public hearing? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. So the next item on the agenda is consideration of public hearings. We have the public hearing on spec 240004. On that, we have a prepared motion. I don't know if anyone has any questions on that.
Does anyone need a copy of the motion?
You know, we received it.
Okay, great.
You don't need.
We won't. Yeah.
I'm
always have
As I'm
extra, you know.
scrolling madly, let me just do this. Oh, I'll just make it.
No one has any questions on. I'll make a motion then to approve special permit 240004, Danger Bar, 12 Water Street, to allow for a drinking establishment in the MDD zone. Findings and reasons for approval. The commission finds that this application as conditioned complies with zoning regulation section 5.1-9.a drinking establishment. Commission also finds that this application complies with the special permit criteria in section 9.4-6 of the zoning regulations, in that it does not alter the essential characteristics of the Mystic area, does not cause traffic congestion or safety conflicts, and does not conflict with the purpose of these regulations. Second. It's moved and seconded by Steve. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, then we'll vote on the approval of the special permit 0004 for Danger Bar. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion is carried unanimously. Next agenda item is approval of minutes, previous meetings. We have July 9th, 2024. I'll entertain a motion for approval of the minutes.
So
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded by Sue, Steve, and Sue and staff. Does anyone have any corrections
I have a question. Possibly a correction. And they're both related, page 2 and page 3. So at the bottom of page 2, says the stone walls that border the front of the property will remain intact. And on page 3, it says that the commission finds that the wall fence and landscaping plantings as modified on the east side meet the intent. So we talked about bringing the wall, like that section of wall that is going to be removed, and moving it around the corner. Is that what is meant by modified, or?
That plus, I think there were some modifications with regards to the grade in between retaining walls.
Yes.
There was some.
Yeah, right, okay.
Those are
That's just when I read the stone walls that
Right.
were on the front of the property will remain intact. It wasn't clear to me what
And I
that.
think they actually said during their presentation that they would be reusing the walls that they had to remove in order to do the new driveway and.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
So maybe
So
we
then,
could add that.
yeah, okay, just so long as it's, I think it, to
Oh,
me,
you
it just
mean-
didn't seem clear
Okay.
that, like, the
Yep.
wall's gonna remain intact except for
Yep,
this
yep.
one
It
section.
should say
and that's gonna be moved
intact,
around.
except, maybe you want to add, yeah, you'll add in
Yep.
words except is required for what the entry and exit ways.
Perfect. I
Yeah,
kind of was like,
because that's what,
maybe that's what they mean by modified. I wasn't.
No.
Just wasn't.
I think it makes it clear. It's
Thank you.
good to
That's
know
all that I.
Anybody have anything else?
I have an item.
Oh, yes.
Just to take it, it's the, on page 3, there's a couple of sentences just above the motion, which talks about the fences on top of the retaining wall and screening the rooftop equipment should be opaque. Well, those are true, but I think the fences on top of the retaining wall I believe they need to be extended in front of the parking spaces, right? And the rooftop, I think you need to take that apart into 2 sentences. And the rooftop equipment screening needs to extend, both be opaque, and the height needs to be the height of the finished height of the mechanical equipment.
Any other comments? We'll vote on the approval of the minutes as July 9th as amended. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion is carried unanimously. Next is public communications. Does anyone on the commission have any public communications? I did have the one letter from the town clerk announcing Lauren Gauthier's appointment to the commission as an alternate. Does staff have any? Does anyone in the public wish to address the commission on tonight?
No, we go.
Oh, yes.
Thanks, Richard.
Would you state your name and address for the record?
Andrew Perella at 7 Tornberg Lane in Groton, Connecticut. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if it's picked up because.
Okay. I just have a comment, and I don't know at what stage the VII-2 for the car wash center at 7071 Long Hill Road, what stage of the process this particular issue is at. But I have talked to some residents in the area. I do live over there, and just for disclosure, I am a 4th District RTM member, just for the record. So in speaking just as a citizen, I'd like to comment that we have received some neighbors, and actually I probably should speak as a representative, that have concerns about a car wash, I believe, near that particular site because of the traffic flow on Long Hill Road. There have been several accidents there, not exactly at that spot, but further down the road, there was a fatality where the car oil change facility is now going to be going in the cross from the bank. The addition of the Best Way gas station mart on the hill there will be adding a lot more traffic flow in and out of the that area. And apparently the state did approve that with the zoning board's approval and the administration for the town. There was a little controversy on that, but going back to the other issue, this is another site where you could be potentially getting even more traffic on a very tight roadway that has that is an intersection of many parts that come together, including the fact that we have a fire station right up the road. And this is a huge concern to me for public safety. And I think that needs to be revisited. And I don't know if this has been approved or not, if they're just doing the site plan tonight. But I think that should be looked at very seriously for the traffic flow. There was also an accident about 9 months ago at the intersection of Wayne Road. And I live way down on towards the end of that, on the inside of that road, where a person was crossing the street from the Koto's restaurant. I don't know if that was a fatality or not, but the entire roadway was closed off and you could not even get into the neighborhood. Once again, bringing the concern about the encroachment, even though it is, zoned commercial, there is a concern from neighbors, as we witnessed with the Best Way proposal, that we're starting to encroach on the east side of Long Hill Road, where there are neighborhoods and people are being affected. And I know that when the present property across from Applebee's was turned over by Mr. Hulk, that was changed to a zoning when the house next to it got torn down. There's a little controversy about that. I also understand that there is some question whether Applebee's will be remaining open or not. And apparently the Starbucks traffic flow was looked at by this commission and the administration. And I appreciate that. And some of the residents are appreciating that live right near there because of the increased traffic flow, which could be also dangerous with a emergency facility right across the street. So in your considerations on these other sites, and this is not to target any developers because we want that, but the area of development is really crucial because we're starting to crowd things in and starting to encroach on the different neighborhoods that have been there and established. So I believe that car wash is probably, in my opinion, and some of the neighbors, is not really the best site for that traffic flow. And I think it could increase a lot of danger in that area. You might have people backed up on the road. People are still speeding up and down the road. So I just would like to take that into consideration when you do your deliberations. And I would also like to encourage a public hearing, which I know is not necessarily required if it's a commercial zone, but I'd like to encourage that because I think people might come out. I know a lot of times there aren't large turnouts for these. I come from work, so sometimes I come late to meetings, but I just would like to encourage that if that is in the process of being looked at and voted on before it gets to a final vote. And thank you for listening.
Can I address that
Yes.
very quickly? Sure. Thank you. So that application is on the agenda. I think you all received notice that they've asked for an extension to the September meeting. But I just want to make sure that you understand the location. It's not up near the Pequannock Bridge Fire Station. This one actually is on the other side of the road and it's down near Pequannock Road. It's the former Northern Lights building.
Perfect. Thank you.
So I just, okay. Okay.
Thank you very much.
And we have nobody on the Zoom then.
No.
Okay. So if there's no one else in the public, we'll move on. Have the CFPZA. Shouldn't that go back to where it normally is at the end of the agenda?
We can do that if you like.
Well, it's really, since it doesn't affect anything on the agenda,
Sure.
I would think it's clear.
That's what we'll do.
Hmm? As if we want to address it, it should be like we did before at the end of the meeting.
Okay.
And leave this one just to
Mhm.
regular comments that would affect business tonight's business meeting. Okay, then we move on to our special permits. We've done subdivision site plans is the next item. We have SIT 240013 Danger Bar, 12 Water Street, Unit B1. We go back to our applicant. There we go.
Now he's back.
Now we're on to our site plan. If you want to make your application information for the site plan.
Uh,
I don't know if you have anything to add.
yeah, I'm not sure how to, so just like site plan narrative or?
Well, if you have anything else to add for the site plan that.
Yeah, Montes, I think you can, if you can share the floor plans. I know that was a question during the public hearing. So if you want to share the floor plans and kind of elaborate a little bit on what it looks, both the the internal modifications, and I know that the commission is also interested in the lighting too as well. So I know you like the lighting, but like you can explain all that. So yeah, kind of follow the narrative would be great.
Okay. All right, just give me 1 second. Exterior line. All right, let me share this. All right, so so can you see the screen? Just wanted to confirm.
Yep, we can see that.
Okay, so proposed lighting, you can see to the left and to the right, there is a pre-existing lanterns, but they're not electrical. So I would like to exchange those and put a couple lightings, and those lighting will be facing downwards and will be compliant with the historic district requirements. Yes, so that would be the lighting. Do you have any questions in regards to the lighting? Does anybody have any questions?
Well, you wait until we have the whole presentation.
Okay.
Raise it.
Okay.
Go to the commission for questions.
Site plan.
But if you want to, I guess, show the arrangement.
Yeah, we can. Yeah. And Montes, if you're having trouble trying to find the site plan, we also could share it on this side too.
Yeah, I did find it. So.
Okay, great.
So this is a pre-existing floor plan. I'm just gonna scroll it downwards. So this is a little bit more accurate. So you can see both entrances to the left and to the right. There is a pre-existing bathroom, which is very small, 25 square foot, which is not gonna be ADA compliant. So we're looking to demolish this bathroom and open up the space, moving the bathroom down, and I'm going to show you a little bit more accurate floor plan. There we go. So that would be a little bit more accurate floor plan where you can see ADA compliant bathroom, the bar area, and the that 250 square foot that we spoke previously in the space with all the seating. And there's nothing really much that, nothing is really changing. It just the lighting for the outside, and you can see the interior floor plan with the modifications. I think that would be it.
Well, yeah.
I can
access to the second floor though is different.
Yeah, so Montes, you want to discuss the change to the there's a loft right now. There's a currently existing loft and how that's going to change too, because
yes, yep, no problem. Let me just go back a bit. So there is a tiny loft space and there's a staircase going to the second floor So we're looking to get rid of the staircase that you can see it right here and open up a little bit more of that second floor to have a higher ceiling. And to the left where the exit is, we're looking to put a little staircase kind of pull down and use that as a storage. So that would be utilized. The remainder of the second floor loft would be utilized as a storage. And you can see that attics. So on this screen, you can see a little bit more accurate where, you know, the bathroom will disappear, the staircase will disappear, and you can see an attic access ladder pull out, and this all area will be utilized as a storage because it's very tiny space. So we will be using this remainder of the loft, which is approximately 90 square foot, will be used as the storage. Hello?
We're there.
We're thinking.
Oh, okay.
A lot of thinking going on here.
If there's nothing,
I'll
you
elaborate.
have nothing else, the staff have any?
Sure.
additional-
I'll just elaborate on a few things and just kind of go, kind of what we talked about in the special permit, but there's a few other things. So again, the site's located in Mystic Downtown District. All the changes are internal. There is, as proposed for parking again, they're required for the 3 parking locations. They'll have 4 as part of the validation program. In terms of, public safety, traffic movement around the building there. Middle of Factory Square, as many of you probably know, there is sidewalks that move around there. None of that will be impacted by this proposal whatsoever. The lighting, as was mentioned, he's going to replace those 2 lights on either side. They'll replace with full cutoff, fully shielded lighting to be consistent with the regulations. And again, back to kind of the compatibility, all activities, interior. He doesn't anticipate any disturbance with the neighboring residents, but he's proactively installing soundproof insulation to deal with to provide extra noise dampening. We've talked a little bit about the noise, the hours of operations. And I think that's basically it. You've all got a copy of the staff summary sheet, which shows a few more things, but I'm also happy to answer any additional questions.
One question I had is there gonna be, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
In order.
I was so curious. Something.
It wasn't about the trees.
I know, I didn't see a tree on it.
So I'll open it up to commission if they have any questions
Sorry
or
about
comments.
Bill,
Huh?
many days.
No, start with you, Kevin.
No, I was just very happy to see the site plan. So,
Steve.
One question, I noticed all your site plans had danger bar, 2 words, and all our paperwork had danger bar, 1 word. Is it 2 words or 1 word?
It's 1 word. It's a misspell. My bad.
Anything else? Sue?
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. One question I had on your soundproofing, are you gonna put it in the ceiling at all? Because
Yes.
there's somebody living on, or something going on above it, of course, so.
So above there is no residence. There is nothing above the yes, above the ceiling. We will be installing soundproof insulation on the ceiling because it just, you know, dampens the noise and absorbs the noise that when the patrons are visiting the site.
Yes, I can understand that for the internal part. So, but there's nobody above there that's gonna be affected by it.
No.
There is nobody above.
Okay,
Correct.
all right, thank you.
Right.
Oh, just one, just a little, previously you had said 20, I thought I heard 28 to 29 seats, but then when I look at the plan view, I thought I counted 9.
You counted 20 probably.
19,
It was
19
11 and-
19 stools plus the table.
The table.
Oh,
down
I
at
didn't see the table. My apologies. Okay, we're good. I just saw two different numbers in my head. I was wondering which it was. Okay, we're good. That's all I had.
Yeah, it was print so small. again.
Well,
Well,
But
just a clarification for those new lights you're putting on, that's replacing those little existing lantern lights on the sides of the door? Okay,
Correct.
those look fine. And since you presented the floor plan, I get to comment on it, but not part of the site plan because site plan is going to be fine. I just noticed that something I'll say staff should follow up back to building department was that we have a fold down attic access in front of an exit door. You make sure that's okay because it doesn't sound okay to me. I would almost suggest that you put the ladder in the bar where it's not going to bother anybody, and that's actually where you need it to get the bar up into that loft. And it'll look cool and it'll get in the way of something. I'm sorry, but that's the only way to keep it out of the way. And then also there goes a question about you've got your handicap access, which accessible restroom, which I can see is probably on the fringe of not being, but pretty close. But I'm not aware of being able to have a 3-foot hallway and make a 90-degree angle to go into a door to a handicap accessible, because I don't think a wheelchair turns that way. So that's something I'm a little out of date, so maybe it's okay for this, but I think you might need to look into that.
Yep.
Right.
And the building, I have talked with the building official about this, and so he'll as part of the building plans, they can finagle those.
Maybe the door has to open out or something.
Yeah,
Something's got to go on, but then it's in the hallway for the access, so it's
got it.
It's a tough one.
Perhaps do a sliding door. That could be another
Can't do a sliding. Not for a restroom. No, it's got to push it open, pull it open.
Okay.
You can't get the handle. And that's all I've got.
Those can both be handled as technical items.
Yes, definitely.
Yes, yeah, that's not us.
Absolutely. Yep.
Especially the ladder.
Yeah, ladder's a good point.
Really
Yep.
a fire.
Yep. Absolutely. Yep.
Fire issue.
So I just want to clarify that ladder is a pull-out ladder. So it's not going to be always, it's going to be only used for the access to the storage. And
yeah, I understand that. If the building official is okay with that, that's fine. But typically, yes, it's supposed to, that's what it's supposed to do. But what's supposed to happen isn't always what happens. So then
I think the fire marshal.
And the fire marshal, yeah.
That's a pure fire marshal.
As part of the applying for building permits, we'll make sure that that's handled.
That's one that could slide by. So
Yep.
It's
You may
not
want
involved
to
in
say it has to be locked during business.
Something like that. Yep.
hours.
Yep.
There may be special controls.
Or move it.
Yep.
Well, or it could fall down accidentally.
Fall down.
Yep.
Forget.
Usually they don't.
There's a fire.
Just leave it down. Yeah.
But I think it
We'll work through that.
should be addressed somehow.
Yep.
So we were just suggesting a rope ladder that you climb up. Pirate danger thing.
Yeah,
Live with what you have, right?
yeah, but then they'll add it as something to do as entertainment.
Rope ladder carrying kegs.
It opens up more space.
I was gonna say, can we count those as seats?
All right.
Okay.
Does anyone have any other? And we have a prepared motion for the site plan. Does anybody need a copy of that?
I'll take it.
Anyway, everyone else good?
It's okay.
Does anyone have any questions? And we do have the 2 technical issues.
Yep. I'll put that on the tech items. Absolutely. Yep.
Because those are important. They're
No problem.
important
Yep.
issues.
Absolutely. Got it.
So I'll make, if no one has any questions, I'll make a motion then to approve site plan application 240013, Danger Bar, 12 Water Street, to change the use of an existing commercial space to a drinking establishment in the NDD, subject to the following conditions. 1, any modification to this plan imposed by another federal, state, or local agency shall require additional review by town staff or the commission, whichever is appropriate. 2, technical items as raised by staff shall be addressed. Is there a second?
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we'll vote on the motion to approve site plan for Danger Bar. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion is carried unanimously. Next item is site plan 240011. Car Wash Center.
Right, and as I noted earlier, they have granted an extension to the September 10 meeting. They are still trying to work out the site plan with regards to their neighbor.
Okay, so there'll be no application.
Correct.
No presentation.
Right, no presentation tonight.
Okay. Then we're moving on to whole business affordable housing plan recommendations review.
So in your packet, I think this is the final discussion of the affordable housing recommendations with regards to zoning. As you recall, the town council asked you to look at the recommendations of that plan, including items such as allowing different housing types in the R7 or R12 zone, reducing the size of a piece of property that wants to utilize the open space subdivision regulations, adding additional units to mobile home parks or allowing new mobile home parks, changing the accessory dwelling unit regulations, and again, reducing the size of a piece of property that might want to use the active senior housing regulations. So based on your past discussions, you kind of went high, medium, and low priority on these recommendations. So I just want to go over it, make sure that you guys are comfortable with these, and then we'll get into the last bit of information you were looking for with regards to mobile homes. So high priority, while not a recommendation in the affordable housing plan, you wanted to explore allowing multifamily housing in the IM zone. Mid-level, changing the zoning regulations to reduce the size of a lot that's required for senior housing. Right now it's at 20 acres and thinking it can be less than that.
What's that accessible units? Is that supposed to be accessory?
No, I think senior housing and accessible units in terms of handicap accessibility. Mid-level also was looking at different housing types in the R12 zone.
Well, wait a minute. I don't understand what that means then. It says to encourage senior housing and accessible units.
Well, senior housing would be universal design, accessible to both visitors who might be handicapped and folks who are living there.
It's
That's
accessibility
just
within the.
Exactly. It's just the language of the plan.
Well, should that be clarified a little bit? Or...
Yeah, I think so. I didn't understand it.
Okay, sure. Sure. Okay.
So you're talking about 20 acres, changing that down to something
else, right?
Just
That's
something
right.
else.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we look at that.
Okay.
And then also interested in looking at different housing types in the R12 zoning district. Did not see much interest in changing the accessory dwelling unit regulations or reducing the required lot size for an open space subdivision.
Well, don't we meet the state requirements for accessory dwellings? Well, the size and.
So the last time you discussed it, I did not hear any interest in changing the accessory dwelling.
No, because it's not, because we meet the.
Absolutely, absolutely, but I didn't hear any interest in allowing more than one or allowing larger ones or changing those regulations. We're comfortable with what they were.
State regulations, and we're fitting in similar to what
Massachusetts.
I just think that we are in accordance.
Right, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Just for clarification.
Sure,
I was thinking clear.
Okay, yeah.
So somebody picks this in another couple of years.
Right.
They'll know what's going on.
Okay, so we didn't really finish the discussion on mobile homes. At the last meeting, it didn't sound like there was much interest in developing regulations for new mobile home parks. But additional information was requested in terms of the taxing and the taxes generated by these, and that is in your packet. if you have any questions on it, I can try to answer that. I also wanted to just make sure that you are not interested in relocating mobile home parks, given that some of them are in high hazard areas and flood zones. Or exploring it. I mean, this is just, yeah.
I don't know. So if it's a good, whenever it's time for me to comment on this, I have a number of comments.
You mean on the mobile
Which I'll try to
homes?
shorten, yes.
Hmm?
Yeah, the mobile homes as a vehicle for the town in residence, you know, pluses and minuses. And there's actually, it's an interesting one, that last one, the Whipple one is very close to Fort Rachel, which has the, was it R7 zoning right over there. So I think that's particularly interesting because it's close proximity to it. So let me know when I can.
Go ahead.
Say a few things.
I think that's what you want to know.
Oh, yeah, no,
Are there
absolutely.
any comments or questions
Absolutely.
or concerns?
Yeah, I quite honestly, I'm still a little puzzled by the economics of mobile home parks, even though personally, as I've said, I'm familiar with them. You look at members of the family use them and everything too. But if you look at, like we were talking about, the fact that it's basically an R7, if you take all the acreage in the units, you know, and just do a simple analysis of that, it's close to an R7 type zone. In the space of land, you know, the square footage of land per house or per home, mobile home. So, and then when you take one of the developments like the Whipple one, and you have 60 units on it, and it's on 9.2 acres. They produce, as it says here, the 48,377 in taxes to the town. Yet the monthly fees, as I understand it, and this is on an annual basis, are like 432,000 that go to the owner, you know. Quite a difference here. And so I was curious if the park owner paid any additional taxes to the town. I don't know the answer to that, but probably not.
Probably not, that's right.
But for example, if you had 60 homes in an R7 area, the taxes on them, and I just looked at a couple of samples of houses in the R7 over close to Fort Rachel and everything, but your taxes to the town would be about 600,000 for that. So it's kind of like, why would we encourage mobile homes, which to me are very expensive to the people who live there? They don't have the same equity profile that you would get in a single family house, you know? And yet the town also is not getting the tax revenue that they would from a regular subdivision R7 type development.
I mean, it's a housing type that works for some folks.
No, I understand. Like, so, I've got lots of personal. I know, I understand that, but the other things happen here too. I think the house prices on a mobile home, I should say, the mobile home price has really gone up a lot. If you were an investor and you invested in mobile homes, you know, instead of single family homes or whatever, you would have made a lot more money on the increase in their values because they are, I guess, less expensive, and some of them like this one are in a great area and all. But in the meantime, then too, anybody living there is paying on average about $600 a month to the owner of the mobile home park. The mobile home park owner does not pay the town the level of taxes the town would get if all these 60 units were in fact single family houses, as you have under an R7. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Being a finance person.
$600 a month for rent.
So it's just like, I don't know why we would encourage them. I don't know, and I'm not here to make moral judgments or anything, but I don't know economically why this would be necessarily a sort of model we want to encourage for the town. So those are my thoughts so far on these. Just taking that one as an example, just because it's actually close to an R7 district.
It's not as affordable as it appears.
No, I don't think it is either. And I think what I haven't done yet, if you take the amount of money they're paying and you said, okay, instead of paying it to the owner of the mobile home park, you paid it to a bank for your mortgage, you could have a pretty good sized house. You could afford probably, you know, something more valuable than a mobile home unit. So, which for the next meeting, I'll have that.
Well, we should just leave this as something that requires additional.
Okay, I mean, yeah, I mean, we're just looking for,
Yeah.
you know, should we start to think about developing regulations based on the recommendation in the
I
affordable
think we
housing
need to
plan?
study this first.
Yeah.
What is it we want to know? We're just going to study and then get a bank of information. What is it we're missing?
I think was it produced for the
Well,
town?
what are
That
the
is
advantages?
economics, but that's not our department.
No,
Yeah.
it's what are the advantages? What are there advantages to having them or?
It isn't a plan of conservation development framework. It is important to know the economics of things.
Not to the
Granted, we're
town.
not here.
But do we
Not
want to
to the
expand it?
Right.
I
exactly.
believe the question is, do we, which is right now there's a moratorium on, it, right? Do we want to expand certain elements of what we provide in zoning? And one of those is mobile homes, right? And so I think that's the question. Do we want to do that as a zoning, more than planning for the moment? And I think what was brought up was that we have a financial equation, an algorithm that seems to be off, at least if we compare it to an R7, right? So our point, I think, as a planning and zoning would say is, you know, doesn't appear equitable to the town. The algorithm is not equitable to the town. It's equitable that allows an entry, a low-cost entry for people into this particular zoning regulation.
Right, except I'm not sure it's really low cost for them, and I would
Doesn't
argue.
appear that's low cost as it
Yeah,
used to be.
but I
That's
would
the point.
also argue, we put in those, I thought it was really nice regulations for the, was it cottage
Mhm.
homes that
Cottage
we have?
communities.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And those would be, I don't know, the size is probably a little bit bigger than
Mhm.
maybe the mobile
Mhm.
home.
They-
But it was really a community, or it was like almost a sociable, the
Sure.
way it was set up and
See them in Oregon,
designed.
right?
Yeah.
And yet you had a lot of units.
Yeah.
And it's.
And certainly a lot better
Yeah.
than.
Yeah.
Well, I guess
One
the
part,
the question is, if for mobile homes, what are we trying to provide? What advantage is there to mobile homes? For whom is it? Perhaps not how much it costs, but therefore whom is it that would like those? And could they be better served by some other housing type?
Right.
And that would be the balance.
No,
Yes.
really, but that's what I'm saying. It appears to me.
Because if there's some other
housing.
housing type that would be
Yeah.
better, that we think is better, then that's what we should promote instead of.
Right, but we have,
mobile.
it just hasn't sold yet to a developer. I mean, there's land here that could be used for the cottage homes, right? Right now that's for sale. There's what, 9 acres here, 9 acres there.
I think a lot of the things that we've done recently, and that we're discussing, at these other things, with the accessory dwelling units, with possibly 2 family homes in the R12, I think it is, that would also provide people with the ability to buy or own a home at a lesser cost, because you're gonna have this rental income coming in.
Yeah.
And I also know that the mobile home of 40 or 50 years ago, which got a kind of not the greatest reputation, very different from what they're selling today. And because of that also, we have more regulations that dictate what a developer has to do, makes it more expensive. And so that's probably why you've got nicer homes, they're bigger, they're not mobile anymore. You're not pulling them with your pickup truck. And so the cost of these things has gone up. And I think that's why you're seeing that they're not quite as affordable as they used to be. But I think that we're addressing this ability of people to be able to live in a place at a lesser cost in other ways. And then I would also say that Groton already has its fair share of mobile homes, a lot of them in Groton, more than any other town in Connecticut.
So we had a discussion from the public, who provided us percentages of Groton versus other towns and within the state of Connecticut, which was pretty astounding, not outstanding, as far as our percentage versus the rest of Connecticut, right? And I think it really shows that in many ways, what was termed a moratorium, many years ago, was probably accurate, right? Because we still possess a much higher percentage than any other town. So my point is that in itself, if those numbers are accurate that were presented by the public, I'm not positive. As I said, this appears to be a good embrace as far as new zoning. That's my
Right.
opinion.
And Michael, to your point, I wasn't talking about the double wides or anything.
Oh, well, they're
No,
just
but
not.
they were all
Yeah.
small ones.
Yeah, no,
exactly the same.
but I mean, that was what Hal pointed out, and it was, it never even occurred to me, but I mean, I guess I knew it from when I was a kid, but that people, the military especially, this was a way that you could move from one base to another and not disrupt your whole family's living arrangements. You could do it quickly
But that brings up.
that's not what it is anymore.
I think that brings up another question though, since, as everybody knows, I guess I lived in Stamford for 20 years, and that was like, some of my first jobs were there. And as a single, whatever professional person, you're looking to start building equity as soon as you can. And there were a lot of condos available, right, to buy. You really had that option. And that turned out very well for a lot of people. But I guess my question here would be, so many of the things we're building, and there's so many more planned that are big rental complexes. Is there no way to make some of these, at least have a condominium type, financial thing available? Because if you have somebody that's, say, employed at EB or something like that, I find it hard to believe they wouldn't qualify for a decent mortgage to buy one of these things, right? And then they start.
What things are you talking about?
Condos instead of paying a rental. But we just don't have it here. To me, you're gonna lose people. There's less incentive to stay here because you're a renter.
So that's not really something that zoning addresses.
So I understand this is a question.
And actually, I mean, just thinking, the Winding Hollow units, they were approved by the commission as apartments, both Winding Hollow and Spyglass. I believe now they are all condos. All right, it's an ownership pattern, and it's something that we don't really get involved in.
And there's no way zoning would ever.
No.
No, that was just
the land use is the same thing. It's a multi-unit development. It's you don't get involved in the ownership pattern.
Because I remember from zoning and the regulations.
That's exactly right.
But I think we're talking about, going back to pre-manufactured homes, right? Not mobile or pre-manufactured homes. Part of the difference to separate them from a modular, pre-manufactured shows up on site and you plop it down and it's ready to live in. Modular, and that includes the roof. That's a big one, because that means that the total height is pretty limited. It's modules no more than 14 foot wide. Maybe you could put two of them together to get 28, but mostly you don't. But even if you did that, then you still have this sort of limitation of what the physical structure is. And they're very linear. It's got to be 40 foot or 42, and that's it. Modular is, we're not talking about modular. That looks like any other house when you're done. You can put together anything you want in a porch. So we're talking about a housing type that's got four walls up to itself. It's not a duplex. It doesn't share any qualities to it. And it's low. It's a smaller thing. It's not 2 stories. There's no such thing. So we're talking about that kind of housing type. And I'm thinking it's just fairly inefficient. It's nice to have some because it's affordable as it is. But in terms of efficiency compared to about anything else, except for single family home, if the population that we're trying to reach by allowing them to have pre-manufactured homes, I think we can reach them better by some other structure. So I don't think we should.
Some new structure, Al, did you say?
Some other structure.
Square footage, right? That's that's living space. How much living space right for $1?
Yeah.
Right.
Including the green space, including the parking.
Numbers on price per square foot, ownership cost?
No, we don't. I mean, we could, do some research and get that from probably realtor.com or something, but no, we don't.
Okay.
Do we have any statistics about vacancy rates at these mobile home parks?
I don't. No, most of the parks, they are the units are owned by the owner, not the landowner, right? So that's more the pattern that we see here as opposed to just renting out a mobile home to someone.
They're running just.
So there's some equity building happening?
No, they do not build.
They do not build equity.
Yeah.
But they could sell it, right? They could sell it.
They can sell it, that's right. That's right.
That's
So they
not
just
owned
pay
by
the pad fee.
property owner.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
They're
all
for
the
sale.
Yeah.
It is.
mobile
Additional
home
question.
park is
Yeah.
renting.
They're
space.
renting the pads to
Yeah,
them and
pad.
providing
Yep.
a service probably in terms of, garbage pickup and
Yes,
plowing.
Mm.
That's right,
Yeah.
that's
And-
minimal.
And
Right.
just, do we
Right.
want to do anything with
Right.
it? Or
Right.
do we want to just say we see?
Right, so I'm kind of hearing that you are not interested in in pursuing regulation amendments to allow more, to allow them to move. Okay.
I guess,
Well,
just one more question. There's actually a mobile home park, I think, for sale over across from, Nick, that did the sailboat fiberglass.
Yeah.
Excuse me, guy.
Flanders Road.
I don't know if the whole park is for
Oh,
sale.
okay.
I think there are a couple of units in
think
there
the
that are
park-
for
Oh,
sale.
okay, I thought maybe the
Although
whole
it
thing
did
was-
it did
looked at
sell
it
a couple of
today.
years ago.
Really?
It did transfer.
And if somebody were to sell it, can, the zoning is still whatever district it's in, because I know some of these are in R20.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Which was, I thought was pretty
Yeah.
interesting too.
Yeah.
So, okay, thanks.
So here's my question. So Massachusetts just changed a massive change for ADUs, right? I've got to believe someone like Connecticut is going to follow the pattern for Massachusetts. So in many ways, as Jeff said, we'll probably be in alignment as long as we're in alignment with state statute, which we are,
Mhm.
right? But the point is, and it was mentioned earlier, we don't have, say we wanted to say, we'd love to have cottage communities. I see them in Oregon and Washington, state of Washington, et cetera. But we have nothing that allows that, unless I'm mistaken, that clustering of the small single-family homes.
Oh, yeah, we do have
Yes.
those regulations.
And if we do, then why don't we have any like that?
That's
right?
a really good question.
Right,
Yeah.
and so my only point is, I think if anything, maybe we should try to figure out that, that equation. Because if there's gotta be something that comes together, why was in Oregon, all these massive ones built and they're wonderful communities? And we have something that allows that cluster, but we don't get the build here.
That's right, we don't. And
Well,
we have
you
the
have-
And
land.
I don't know why, so I wasn't. just
It's
throwing
all
it out.
No, that was my
finance,
question,
it's
because
all
like-
finances, if somebody want to make money on.
Well, we have the
Maybe,
land.
maybe it isn't though, Jeff.
Yeah.
My point is, maybe it's just not, why is financing
it.
in
We don't
Oregon?
have a lot of open space that's left.
No, there's a lot for,
There is.
there's a lot of land for sale right now. You could pop a lot of these things. off,
Right.
But they don't. They're sitting and sitting.
But it might just be a mentality,
I-
Oregon mentality. I've lived in Oregon. It's
Yeah.
not this mental,
I think
we're on a
West
different
Coast,
planet
right.
here. So,
No, you're right.
so it might just simply be that.
Okay.
The average age in Oregon.
Builders
is
get
younger.
stuck in their
But-
ways.
But we tried to put in some regulations for the downtown area to allow
Yeah.
development
Yeah.
there, and we see nothing.
Yeah, but I think it's an unrelated thing.
No, no,
With
but I
cluster
think
house.
it's the same
Yeah.
situation. People are not going to develop something new. It's New England.
But the
Anything like
MDD has
that
been
is-
successful, right?
Hmm?
The MDD has been successful, waterfront has been successful, right?
Yeah.
With the Indiana
Very.
Casino Road, people building there.
Very successful.
I just don't think we have it right. I guess that's my point.
I don't, yeah, but is it a regulation thing or something else?
Right.
It's not, we don't have it right. It's just that developers have taken advantage of everything that's available to them.
And we don't advertise our regulations
No.
either. It's not like we're
Right. We're not in the
looking for.
sale department.
Yeah, so it's tough to change, of course.
Oh, we couldn't.
Any more than contractors here don't build, here's an example, contractors here don't build tilt-up buildings. They're doing work on tilt. Don't know what it is. You go to California, you'll see them all over.
Which is tilt up.
Tilt-up buildings, you pour a slab, then you stand it up, that's your wall.
Mhm.
Oh,
You make billions of cheap square footage that way. They work great, they held up in earthquakes. They
Yeah.
did
Like,
hold up in
what,
earthquakes.
slab on grade?
You
Yeah.
pour it on grade, and it's got the windows in it, and you make the whole thing, and you stand it up.
Thought we didn't do
Up to
slab
3 stories high.
because it's freezing.
3 stories.
Up to 3 stories high.
Sounds like a
It's a
barn.
standard building system. It's fairly cheap. It's not necessarily cheap.
Brought in,
You,
built on site.
you built them on site. You pour them on site. Everything's just
We
poured
have-
on site. You pour the slab, you pour the walls on it, and you stand it up. It's a
You don't
wonderful
have
system.
many slabs.
I've done 1 million square feet that way.
There's
No one knows how to do
neighborhoods
it
that
here.
have slab on grade.
Yeah, no one knows how to do it here
The,
because they just
what's it,
don't.
Winthrop?
They all
So,
want-
same
It's
thing.
all slab on grade.
So the same thing happens is that it's only for industrial, you know, for anything, else, or for offices. But they're just not accustomed to it, and you can't just import someone. If you just import a developer from Oregon, we could probably get some cluster housing.
People live in basements too. It's just the way.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
We want that's,
People want basements.
yeah.
Well, I thought it was, you had to go at least down to the frost line so that you're not having issues with freezing and ruining the slab.
There's
So,
certain-
and if you're gonna go that
certain
deep
square
down.
Go 4 feet, you might as well go
If
7.
you go down that deep, you might as well have a basement.
But
instead of
there,
just
there are places around that are
concrete.
built.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, around here.
Oh, yeah,
Lots of
yeah,
places.
it's a
You
great
can
commercial
do
thing to
it, but
do.
people just
You can
don't.
do a monolithic pour, which is just when you do a one, there's square footage that is allowed that doesn't require.
Well,
you
what
to
do
go
we
down
wanna-
below the
I
slab.
guess we're really asking,
Like
what do we
no-
want to do
no
with
more
this
discussion.
That's what
trailer
I'm
park?
hearing. Yes,
Yeah.
that is what I'm hearing. Okay.
Hmm?
No,
Get out
it's
into the
okay.
weeds.
It's okay.
Well, it was a good discussion, though.
No, but,
Yeah.
so the trailer park thing is,
Right, I don't see any
No.
interest at this point in pursuing zoning text amendments for that.
But one thing we didn't address, which is one of my favorite things, from the zoning commission, is the height of buildings. And it was like, in certain areas, I think we should really go a lot higher than we. That's just my personal opinion. Because like in Stamford, once they got that big landmark building up, over 20-some stories or something, and it was there like a sore thumb. But then a lot of other buildings
Yeah,
really
around-
came up,
Yeah.
and it's like the condos towards the water. There was nothing there. Then the first condo went up, and it seemed a little crazy, and now it's solid.
Oh,
And you go by the railroad station, there's condos right by the railroad station.
So
Can you
I don't
imagine?
want to live in Stafford.
I don't wanna live in state for
Well, I don't either, that's why I moved here. But no, I think we go a little lower.
It's a diff-
You wanna retract what you just said? Is that what you're-
it's a different lifestyle with you.
Was that thinking?
Yeah.
And between New Haven and New York, and New Haven
Yes, I know.
and Westerly are different, you know.
Well, maybe 5 stories.
Okay, well, speaking to the height, because it just came up, now I can't remember where I was reading it about our downtown district said the 2 height limitations, one was 30-some feet, one was 50 feet.
Hmm.
50 feet along Route 1
I think it's 65.
or 65
Yeah.
along Route
Yeah,
1
yeah.
and 35 elsewhere. And I almost think that's almost backwards, is that
Hmm.
that if we're talking about the downtown, we know the area we're talking about to be downtown, that actually stepping it up as you get into downtown would be better because you'd be able to see out of it. That's what it comes up to. So that one I have a real problem with. Either the entire area should be up at 60 feet or 60, whatever feet it is. Or it should step up from Route 1 so that from Route 1, you're seeing out of it. And from the 2 higher floors, multiple higher floors within the development, you can see out of it.
That's right.
No.
Well, that's why when they did Perkins Farm with the living units there, you had the medical, but then when they added all those big apartments and
Yeah.
everything like that, the developer, it was news to him. Once you're in those, you can see the water, right?
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
because
They're
they were
pretty
like
tall buildings.
staged nicely.
Yeah, but
So,
But one,
when you're in what we're calling downtown, getting up 60 feet, gotta be fine inside there. I don't think it would seem
Mystic
everything.
downtown?
No,
Oh,
Groton downtown.
Groton, yeah.
Groton downtown.
Oh, yeah, you'd have tremendous
one,
views.
yeah.
And we have it kind of backwards.
No, I agree.
Yeah, one of the developers, I think at one of the sessions we had, was talking with him about construction, and he thought we were not allowing building heights high enough to be practical to develop
Hmm.
apartments and stuff,
Yeah.
which may be true.
I can't
Or
remember,
in
this
certain
guy,
areas.
Rensselaer came up with
Hmm?
it. Rensselaer had a problem with that. Okay,
But that might be something that
Mhm.
should be looked at. Can we extend, go from three stories to 4 stories? Look at that in certain areas. Hmm?
Mhm.
4 or 5.
Well, or
I mean,
something,
But once you put 1 floor of parking underneath, then you need the extra space.
yeah.
Right, same thing as Reston Town Center, they built up and huge amount of residents were able to move into that. And afford it.
Hmm.
So as we continue on the discussion with the other agenda items, one thing I may as well tell you now, right now we have Horsley Witten on board to do some zoning amendments for us. And one thing that we are thinking about is, raising the height in the flood zones.
Oh,
You know, right,
Right.
because people have to build up higher anyway, and so
Mhm.
they're only getting 2 stories as opposed to 3 if they didn't have to build as high. So that's probably one thing we'll be exploring is
Yes.
change in height in.
Yeah, wasn't
flood
that in
zones.
one of the Stonington,
Yeah.
That's right,
Yes,
that's
that's one of the
that's
rules, yeah.
exactly.
they were
exactly.
addressing that.
That's
Yep.
right,
Because we
That's right.
talked about that before.
that's right. I mean,
First-
we do allow it, but it's only a very small increment,
Right.
an
Yeah.
additional 5 feet, I think.
But Stonington was taking it on more realistically.
Right,
A
exactly.
lot of coastal communities are really looking at that
Right.
about, in order, there's not a lot of people aren't elevating houses because of that. Because they have to elevate in a AE or VE zone and go up 12 feet. Well, then you get 12 feet and then your house gets compressed like this.
Yeah.
You need a variance
You need-
height,
exactly, yeah.
so yeah,
Yep.
Yeah, because you're looking at a lot of
Right.
development down at Willow Point recently.
Yeah.
They're all
exactly.
doing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're taking
Yep.
these small cottages,
Yep.
tearing them down, putting up big mansions now.
Mhm.
But they are all elevated because they're in the VE zone.
One thing that was, I think like a year ago or so, when you were asking which things should we prioritize, and now we're kind of getting into it. Seems to be sliding is parking provisions for commercial. For the rest of the town. And I say that just because every time I drive downtown and I see 1,000 empty parking spaces. Is that at this point? I mean, go to Walmart and have you ever seen
No,
more than
well, no
half of
kidding.
the parking lot filled? Our numbers are just wildly off.
Yeah.
They were bad before and now they're crazy.
When you say downtown,
Right,
right.
not
Not,
Mystic.
not
I'm gonna say,
downtown
not-
Mystic.
There-
There are not
I mean,
too many
it
places.
Seems like we've been pretty successful with the infilling. Like in Big Y, that plaza there.
Yes, there's still too much
Seems like-
parking. There's still.
Well, I would
That
say
place
maybe
is
not at
pretty-
Christmas, but it.
No,
Yeah,
there are
that-
big-
That lot
Big
is
Y
pretty
and-
close.
It's Big
Well, you
Y
stay
and
pretty
Groton
close,
is
but
pretty.
typically, if you remember Christmas times in days of yore for some places, you couldn't find a space.
No, I've never
I've
been not been.
Never been able to look at space. In fact, well, I just don't want to go out to the corner
West Farm
someplace.
small.
But of course.
No, I
you
mean a big
can't
Y.
find a big Y.
Big
The-
Y.
the Big Y left corner.
Works. What we did there works.
And,
I
and,
think
and
it's
the, and the
pretty-
movie theater back lot there, that's still always empty. And behind,
Maybe that's. why it
behind the
works.
entire shopping center, there's another 100 spaces that
Yeah.
isn't touched, including room for more spaces, which we didn't. don't show.
That's true.
So our parking numbers are just wildly off right now.
Oh, I see what you're
And
saying.
I think that's,
yeah.
that can slow down development, especially when we want to make it densified downtown. If we can say, look, the residences need what the residences need, per table, our numbers are correct. And for everything else, once you get into these large parking lots.
Well, I
We're-
wonder how
we're way
much
off.
of what is happening in downtown Mystic is because we have not really followed, we've done parking in a way that is probably a little irresponsible.
Why? It makes everybody think.
But it
it's popular
certainly is a
space.
boon to business, right?
Yeah, because
So maybe that's something that
Not
we
the
need to think about
Absolutely.
in the town.
Because
Downtown
everybody-
is to allow,
There's not the mix of
shared
residents
parking.
in
and-
downtown Groton like there is in Mystic.
Right, and that's my point, is I think,
Mhm.
as Hal says, I would support that. Is that I think that equation should be changed. Look at the Benny's parking lot, right? Which is never full.
Never.
Right?
Even TJ Maxx,
That's
so
the point.
Benny's, that plaza is the businesses are
Oh, yeah.
hit or miss,
TJ
right? But the TJ Maxx, it's full of businesses, there's constant activity and it's still always half empty.
And that's as successful as it could possibly be.
Pumped it up.
That
I know,
is all,
it's still half
there's
empty.
all
but it's coming
successful
up to the
businesses at the
front,
TJ Maxx and Aldi's, which
Yeah.
brought tremendous amount. Every one of those is as successful as you could hope they could be,
Yeah.
including Goodwill, including the gym.
Yeah.
And there's still an extra hundreds of spaces.
Mm.
So
So is that something we can give to Horsley Witten?
Oh, yeah, we've got a list of things. I mean, when we get to the Mouse Island item, I can kind of go over the other things. we're-
Parking on Mouse Island.
To the
Going
Benny's.
up. Building.
Okay.
It's just like an education, if you could educate me quickly, so on the Benny's point, if that lot owner, if he ever decides to do anything with it, are there already provisions to make it so that whatever the storefronts are, they have to be at the street instead of sitting far
that's-
back in a field of parking lots?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
right.
So I feel like
It's the MTC zone, the mixed use
Yeah.
town center, and yeah, there are provisions for how close you must be to the street as opposed to how far back you can be.
So do you need more?
No, that's fine. I think we're good. I think
Go on
the
and on.
affordable housing
Yeah.
portion of it, so I kind of understand which ones you're interested in that will rise to the top in terms of priority. So
So
that's good.
are you gonna streamline this?
Well, that was just, right. It'll
No,
be
but
in the
it's good
minutes.
to have
That's-
something
yeah.
that we
Yep.
have as.
Yep.
As a
Well,
goal,
in
or-
case the council says, so what did you guys do with our, when we
Yep.
asked you to look at all
Well,
of this?
maybe also
Yeah.
for the POC,
Right.
development of the POCD,
Yep.
it would be good, maybe that's where it belongs. Hmm?
Mhm.
Yeah, a lot of it does.
Yeah, for sure,
Hmm?
for sure.
But it's good to
Yep.
know this. And I've been thinking about the things that were done a long time ago, because this Sunday I got an email from the head of the president of the condo association. I had, man, over something I did in 2018.
Must have been
And
really bad.
No, and it was supposed, no, it got done to the point where it was turned over to the president at that time for action. And he never took action on it. And they wanted to know if I had an updated copy of it. Hmm? But I was surprised to see something like that. It was tough getting the information from 6 years ago. So it is sometimes important to keep track of them. All right, so we're done with that.
Yeah.
Affordable housing. We have zoning regulation amendment on landscaping.
Yep, we're revisiting landscaping.
I get the matchup
Yeah, you get the measure.
and the gas. No, I just think it's too verbose.
Yeah, from what's in there.
Yes,
Okay.
not the ads or stuff, the way it's written. I think you could streamline it a lot.
Okay.
People, what my concern would be is that people could miss requirements in there if it's too wordy or too repetitive.
Yeah, so
You have one thing in the requirements for putting trees on plans.
Yep.
Where you put them in the, how do you do landscaping? It really belongs on, how do you prepare the application for development is where it belongs, because they'll miss it.
Yeah,
That type of thing.
Yep.
But go ahead.
So, yeah, this was a follow-up. As you remember, Tabitha, before she moved over to Parks and Recs, had taken this over and we had a discussion on that back in November. And between your comments and whatnot, she had made most of the changes. I made a few other changes, and this is the latest version based upon the discussion what we had last time. So the question is at what stage are we at right now? Are we ready to move this forward? Do we want to reduce it more? Is it too much? Do we want to move things around? We're just looking for some guidance in terms of next steps for the landscaping.
So the red text is your proposed changes?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Right.
So the reds are the changes based upon the conversation that we had with the commission back in November.
And I thought we were never going to use the word should.
Yeah.
There was some of, I think initially it was shall. And as part of the comments, you basically from what I understood from the commission was like, it was too strong to do that from some of these requirements here.
Because if you can't do it, obviously you need a variance and.
Yeah, it had to be, some of these have to be should.
Some of them, right, some of them, it seemed more appropriate to be should rather than shall.
Or there were cases that were obvious exceptions.
Right.
Yes.
So you have to use the word
And
should.
that's what we're here for.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
No, I think it would be obvious where you used it by the way text, but you couldn't say shall in some of these.
Yeah.
Well, just hear me out.
Sure.
Common open space landscaping should include a combination of shade trees and/or shading devices. Blah, 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 where appropriate.
Or
Why can't we use shall?
Why can't shall be there?
Which section are you in right now?
I'm actually on page 100.
We're just over 98 too. We've got
Yeah, it's the same words.
multiple places, right?
Okay.
yeah, they use that a lot.
Figure out where it is.
Hmm?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, so the common, is the common open space landscaping shall?
That could be a show.
That could be a show.
That could
It
be,
says you have a choice of things to do.
right,
Yeah.
right.
And it says where
And it says
appropriate.
where appropriate.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, where appropriate soft.
Should in regulations
Shall.
means I can,
Nope,
do it or
agreed.
not do it. At- in its entirety.
Yeah, shall appropriate, where appropriate.
Yeah.
That's what you want.
Yeah, in fact, where you've put the words where appropriate,
Put shall.
that you can use,
Yep.
say shall.
Yeah.
All right.
And you'd only argue that it's not appropriate.
Right, exactly. I have something on page 107.
Maybe, yeah, this is so big. I mean, the area, this whole change, maybe can you split it up or subdivide it somehow?
Sure, I can look at that, yeah.
No, just so we review it.
Yeah, when you're,
I
yeah.
hate, I mean, you could spend hours. on
No,
it.
I know, and well, like I said, I took this over
fine.
and
I'm
this
not-
was the original draft that was discussed last time, so I was just building upon that. But if we want to divide it up, I can look in there and figure out what makes the most sense to how to divide it up and how best to tackle it.
A lot of it's repetitive, I think.
Yeah.
Or you could.
Yep. Yep.
I mean, the basic, what's intended is good, I think.
Right.
It's just, how do you present it and somebody coming in cold to look at this?
Right.
You don't want them to fall asleep and miss what's important.
Yes, yeah.
Hmm?
Well, let me look at that. Let me look how to divide it, and so if I can figure out how best to divide this up into a couple, 2, 3, whatever sections, would you want to review it again before going? All right, we'll do that. Let me look through that. Yep.
Hmm?
Yep. Okay,
There's
that's
an-
fine.
there's another one of those should and shalls on page 105.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll look at
that's
it.
fine.
Same,
There's a
it's
bunch,
almost
yeah.
the exact same verbiage. It's
Okay.
the same.
Yep.
Yes, some of the text, the way it's written is not in the way we normally would write
Yep.
requirements. I don't know where it came from.
Like I said,
I mean, this section.
yeah, I'm not. I'll do the best I can. I promise. And I want to bring up 2 other things just to discuss, and this is not part of what's in here, but just some of the conversations that we've had with the fire marshals and whatnot of some of the requirements that they're actually looking for. So one is we've heard it now from 2 fire districts that instead of having mulch against the building, they would like stone 2 feet off. So basically 2 feet out and no plants higher than 2 feet high to prevent any issues with fire and whatnot. So we've been starting to do that, incorporate it in some of our stuff. We had a long conversation about that. So I haven't looked to where that could potentially go in yet.
It's in here in some places, in one place anyway.
All right, so maybe there's another place. There's a couple other places. I'll look at that again. I just
Yeah,
want
but
to.
it is something like
Something
that
there.
is here. This is, you shouldn't have.
Yeah, there is something. Yeah,
Five.
there's something. Yeah, yep. And then the other question is, we found a discrepancy between our requirements and which are more, I won't say more important than HTC's, but HTC is actually, they would rather not have any street trees in downtown Mystic.
What?
I know, well, and let me explain. And I think part of their reasoning is that some of the existing buildings that are down there really are almost right on the street. And there's really, and they've built most, they've developed the majority of that parcel, and there really isn't the space for that. So again, this is nothing that
Get that.
we're proposing or anything like now, but this is one of the challenges as more things get developed in downtown, where there's not a lot of space for either street trees or even for landscaping, and how to still have that requirement and I don't know, it's challenging. So just something to think about, that HTC is saying one thing and our regs are saying something else. Obviously we're pushing our regs, but HTC is like,
Because you could damage the buildings actually when the tree gets up.
absolutely, yeah.
Well, then you adjust the building to make it handle the tree. I mean, there's a give and take with all
No,
those
but
things.
there's a difference between new.
Yes,
new
that's the point. Yeah,
construction
exactly.
and
Oh, that part's
existing.
true.
Yeah.
That's,
Where
that's the
Yes.
difference.
Yeah.
That's not appropriate.
Shall where
That's
appropriate.
true.
Right.
Yeah, the
Right.
historic district won't approve that tree.
Right. No. Yeah, exactly. So just something we had found when we were going through another thing. So
That's where it becomes tough.
Species of
it does.
Well,
Yep.
because otherwise I'd say go take a look at downtown Philadelphia and see where they have trees
Yeah. Yep.
and have for 200 years. And
Yeah,
so,
yep,
well,
yep.
you know, that's the way it is.
Yep.
I mean, the species of tree that you use too, right?
You can do that. Yep.
That's
Oh,
why
yeah.
you'll elm, you'll have elm.
And the other piece too, I should mention is that Parks and Rec has been doing their forest management plan, which is now being reframed as a tree management plan, which looks basically as trees within the rights of way and part of our park systems and whatnot. It doesn't go in and go through a park and look at the whole forest. But one of the things that's coming out of there, and this goes back to the tree list here, is that certain species, we've been saying this is a great street tree. And one of the pieces that's coming out of the tree management plan is that be careful about having too many of one species, because if all of a sudden something affects red maples, you could lose all your red maples. So it's just something that we can deal with on our side. But it's, yeah, well, you know what I mean? Yeah, so there's.
A toad that came in.
Yep, exactly. We don't know what's gonna come tomorrow, so just something to be conscious about, which we can deal with at the staff level as we're reviewing.
That's a good point.
So-
So all the elm trees and chestnut trees
Yeah.
don't exist anymore. Because elm trees used to
More
be.
tweaks on
What page are you?
page 108.
Yep.
What can I do mine first? It's
Oh, sure.
107.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Steve. On that number 2 there, maintenance.
Maintenance, yep.
Was always a favorite topic. But I guess some of these other things, maintaining other things, yes, are important, but when you talk about stormwater basins, rain gardens, constructive wetlands, all these things, it's really important to maintain them.
Yep.
And there's never, at least I haven't seen a good process to know who is doing it or who isn't. And I was wondering, this day and age, can't we require some simple report from the owner, just signing off that they've done what's required on an annual basis or something? And they could even send it to a database so nobody has to be bothered with it. Send it into some box for maintenance, or I don't know, but you see what I mean? Somehow, and then the part of that, and I think this is really a difficult problem, is, and I've seen this in a lot of town places here as well. It's in land trust too. But there's, when you have wetlands or something like that, how are you going to control a Phragmites, for
Right.
example? Yes.
Yep.
And you have to use herbicides if you're going to do it.
Yep.
And this town is not ever, they haven't agreed to use herbicides. And I think that's a huge problem, because you're going to end up with every one of your wetlands and everything just totally
Yep.
constrained and not functioning, right?
Yep, absolutely.
So I don't know. I just throw that out.
Okay.
I can tell you what chemical we use.
Yeah.
No, per the expert we use in Mumford Cove. But,
And Phragmites is really challenging because it's nothing you can't ever walk away from it. It's never over.
no, but you know what? I wouldn't have believed this, but they actually treated one of our big freshwater wetlands with all DEP approved chemicals about 18 years ago. And the things didn't come back for a long time. The frogs were going crazy and salamanders and all this, because they used the right chemicals, right, that were approved. And now they start to grow back a bit. So we have them coming back to just treat this, regrowth. But I thought, I think it's possible, because I never believed it myself either. And then of course you have the knotweed problem.
Yeah, that's another one
but
too.
Somehow,
Yep.
the town just hasn't addressed it, I don't think. And even knotweed, there are very easy solutions to control it, but you're gonna have to do it every year.
Right.
Right. So,
And we'd have to think about how we would kind of enforce that and make sure that people are actually submitting.
yeah.
Well, enforcement becomes a monetary issue.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely. Yep.
expensive.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, but if these don't function, then.
Well,
Right.
no, I realize it's
No,
just
I know.
also, where does that, come
Yeah.
from and who,
Exactly.
Well, it has to be an ordinance.
Difficult problem.
Maybe, because it comes down to a microcosm. We have, we're going to be coming up with a car wash, and it's got two little rain gardens.
Mhm.
And routinely, what they say in rain gardens is you'll have this rain garden appropriate planting in there, which is this weedy mix.
Mhm.
And half the time they don't get the memo. And they just mow it, just scalp it.
Yes.
And now it's just grass, and now it still kind of works because it's a depression,
Right.
but it gets nasty very quickly.
And it's easy to get invasives in there. So if someone's not, I mean, they all serve really important purposes, but the whole maintenance piece is so important. And whether it's the same thing at your own yard, you know what I mean? You can't, nothing is, there's no low maintenance anything. You have to keep it up, you
It's
know?
lower maintenance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But after you're skipping it for a year, then you're sunk.
because you have maintenance in here, but you can't enforce, you can only put it on a drawing.
Right,
You
right.
can't enforce it.
Yeah.
That has to be a town ordinance.
Yeah, yep.
Hmm?
Yep.
But it's right to have it here to be included on the app plans for development. But trying to assume that because you say it's a responsibility of the owner,
Right.
property owner isn't gonna get you any,
No, agreed. Totally agree.
but it's a real problem.
Yeah, it totally.
It's a real problem.
Just a couple tweaks on 108. Number 7 there, size, capital R for requirements. So that one, plants should be selected based on the times, plants shall be selected based on their size and maturity.
Yep.
And then choose plant, species, varieties, plants shall be chosen.
I can look for all the shoulds.
Yeah.
But
Are we doing this now?
Well,
No,
I just,
Do it.
But that's the type-
man-made is hyphenated, I think.
but this thing is a universal requirement and it ought to be put in one section.
Yep.
Because it applies to everything, right?
Yep.
But I think that's where you see a lot of duplication of requirements like that. Hmm?
Yeah, I'll go through
Maybe
it.
you have a whole section just as how you use the guide or
Maybe.
select.
Yeah, something, with a new guide. Yeah, yep,
Well,
absolutely.
this is already a general requirement, so this is where we're just mentioned things. This is within a general requirements.
Yeah.
That is already non-duplicated. We're on the
Can
right track
let me
there.
just ask about the maintenance again, and I don't even know if this can be done. Can the design standards be made so that if a person doesn't do maintenance, that it still works?
No.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That what still works.
Well, that it
Yeah.
does what you want it to do.
Then you don't need the maintenance.
All right.
That's what I'm getting at, is maybe the design standards should be so that we don't need to have maintenance.
I mean, that's
Otherwise,
definitely.
the standard to begin
That's
with.
just, that's not in this world.
That's kind of the challenge in that, that we should say that like basically between Parks and Rec and Public Works, they basically put a moratorium on rain gardens internally because of that, because of the amount of work. I mean, they're great. You get volunteers to plant them, but then it falls on town staff who then have other priorities under Public Works, and then they don't get maintained and whatnot. And so, there are some options where you can create bioswales or whatnot that can be mowed instead of really plant. I mean, you plant native grasses and you mow them instead. So there are opportunities to do that. But it's challenging. It is challenging. But I can look into it.
It's also challenging to have these things not work.
Right.
And then it's also like, I mean, from what I'm hearing, the town doesn't want to go to this expense and effort, but we expect
Others
other
too.
people
Yeah,
to do it,
absolutely.
and
Yeah.
we all know that it isn't happening.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Yep.
And so maybe that is, I don't know what, maybe, you need to have underground.
Well, it's an engineering issue as well.
Yeah,
So you
yes.
can do it without anything, and we've seen a lot of places where the space is constrained, and then you end up with these vessels underground, which still need some maintenance.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
At some
Yep,
point, and you don't
absolutely.
even know what's going on underneath there.
Yep.
It's just hidden from us. But there's always something. But you're right. You're gonna have to buy a swale, but then it ends up being much, much bigger. It still has a drainage system underneath or
Yep.
something like that. At some base, they did that a lot. I think they caught on to the fact that they weren't going to maintain
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
gardens, and they just went to these little swales and things like that, which have a complicated drain structure, and it still works, just not as well. So you need more of it. And if you're space constrained, then you can't do it.
I just throwing it out.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's all good
That's
stuff,
the
you know.
Regulations that you know. That
Right,
people
right, no,
cannot
absolutely,
follow,
yep.
Or won't.
Yep.
And then you're sort of.
All right, so I'll take this whole thing and I'll section it up, and then we'll work on a section at a time. I'll kind of refine that, and we'll work on a section at a time until it's ready to go. Okay. And then I guess I can ask now, because it may be simpler than this. I know we thought we attached it, but we didn't, because it turns out it was an Excel file, and Provox doesn't like Excel files. So you saw the plant list here,
That one
probably last minute.
afternoon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yep.
went up.
So this is another one. So we did reduce, added some stuff in here. We added more ground cover, and took out a few of the shrubs, eliminate some that were, are not really native. And there may be more to take out of here, or there may be more to add. So if you see that, let me know. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's a full-time job for you.
It really is.
Yeah. No, it really, huh?
I know it is.
It's a hard thing.
My past career, I dealt with a lot of that, like the
did you?
invasives and stuff like that. But it's and building rain gardens and bioswales, and it's super challenging. There's no good, like you try the best, you want a good solution that is attractive, that can serve as a demonstration for the public is always a good thing.
Right.
But then, the maintenance piece of it that's where it unfortunately falls apart. And I think we've been talking about this, like, how do you 5 years down the road, if it's still the same owner and they still have this whatever engineered system here and they're not maintaining it, it's easier for us to say, oh, you want to come in with a new application? Yeah, great. You need to do this. You need to show us what the status of the existing systems, but those that are there, we don't get that. And I can look into whether there's an opportunity to, I don't know. I'm not sure. I would have to look at how it would be enforced.
I don't
And
think you can.
yeah, it's going to be challenging.
Because anything that grows, it's changing.
Right.
It changes all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I think we have more control over if a street tree dies, or, they're not taking care of like some important landscaping, to say, hey, listen, you got to replace that. But to make sure that they're pulling out all the weeds and the invasives, and, it gets challenging. So
right.
I'll see what I can do.
So I go from a big item to a little item.
Literally.
Mouse Island, Mouse Island.
Yes, this is just to let you know what's going on here. Mouse Island is just off the tip of Morgan Point, Noag. We all assumed it was part of Noag. It shows up on Noag's zoning map. As it turns out, no, it is not. It is within the town of Groton's purview. So there are no zones on this property. There are 3 houses out there, some of which want to do some improvements. You have to get a zoning permit before you get building permits. There's no zoning. So at any rate, that Horsley Witten is starting work on coming up with a new zone. None of our zones clearly are going, we can't just drop RS7 on it, so we're meeting with the property owners out there, just to see what their thoughts are, what improvements they're thinking about making. We don't want to make it so that, they have to apply for variances to change out their windows, or to put on some small addition or a dormer or something. So we want to make these regulations work for the people who own the property out there. We want to be aware that all of this is in the VE zone, the flood zone. It's all in the coastal zone, and come up with some appropriate zoning for those 3 lots.
Why don't we just leave it as it is?
There's no zone that people.
So what?
Just whatever they want.
I mean.
They were doing.
Able to figure it out.
I mean, we're spending a lot of money for it. What are we doing?
Because if, in order to get a building permit to put your dormer on, you have to have a zoning permit. So that's the first thing. And if there's no zone, we can't issue a zoning permit.
Is there an existing zone that's close enough that we can then call it like a non-conforming pre-existing?
No, there really isn't.
How big is it?
Mount Silence.
I don't know. I don't know
It's
how
not
much
that
it is.
big.
No, it's
I
not.
know some-
High tide or low tide?
Well, that's
It's
exactly.
just
it.
big enough to have these little
Have
So
three
that-
Right,
cottages
right.
sitting on
I mean,
it.
we're gonna make
And
this
at high
as simple as
tide,
possible.
Yeah,
I get wet.
Yeah.
Don't spend-
No.
A cluster. if you can-
Right, it's a
Yeah.
cluster.
It's a cluster.
Literally, this is it. Right,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
make it commercial and have like drive-up bars and stuff there.
Oh,
Right.
right.
Throw a couple slips out there.
I mean, it's all.
So, yeah, so I mean, we didn't want to
40
make them
something.
non-conforming uses. I mean, it's so, we're gonna come up with something fairly simple that we can.
Well,
we
it's
can
gotta be simple.
drop on those three, yeah. I mean, I was talking to one of the property owners yesterday. Apparently, there used to be 5 houses out there.
There
So,
was?
Yeah,
Then the 38.
yeah, and they all got wiped out.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
you know,
Well, they were probably small cottages.
Yeah, I mean, probably don't want them to divide into more lots,
Oh.
you know, so.
You don't wanna subdivide them, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Accessory housing.
yeah.
Zoning regulations since the early 50s. And that no one's ever.
Yeah.
For a building permit.
No, they
just
just
did
did
it.
stuff on their
Yeah,
own,
they just did
right?
things.
They just went ahead and
That's
did
right.
things. And this really just came to our attention when someone started working out there, someone complained. And the building officials,
Can
you
we
know,
just have administrative
So-
site plans for this?
Started pointing at one another.
no, I don't know, no site plan. We're not going to have any site plan for houses. No.
Oh, no, can't you, no, I meant by, is there some way?
That's
we-
only really for commercial. Site plans are really just commercial or multi-unit.
No, but I mean, that
Oh, for
type
sure.
of thing is
It-
just
Right, well,
allow staff.
right, we'll
to-
administer it just like any other lot within Groton. If somebody wants to put an addition on their house, you guys don't see that. You know, we'll just, if it meets
should be.
zoning, they get a zoning permit and then they get a building permit.
Yeah, but it doesn't meet zoning.
Well, it will, once we develop these regs.
Yeah, I think you.
Yeah, but I don't,
Makes it.
Exactly.
I don't think we want to spend a lot of.
Right?
Basically, that's right, but doesn't really allow a real intensification, you know,
Hotel.
or something,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I mean, there are plenty of examples I think we can look to.
Yes.
Branford has a ton of islands. They've got to have some sort of zoning on those.
Is it big enough for?
We'll get it figured out. But a couple other things that Horsley Witten is probably going to be looking at along with this are the FEMA ones that we described. You know, we may have them look at the priorities that you have on the affordable housing plan, looking at allowing you know, multifamily and IM zones. And maybe even doing a small analysis on what it would mean to allow different housing types in the R12. Yeah, so you'll be seeing a lot of them, a lot of the Horsley Witten folks.
For the homeowner on Mouse Island that this is a problem for, what are we doing for them in the near term so that they're not held up indefinitely?
Right now, they don't have any projects proposed, but they do have ideas. So,
Okay.
So as of right now, we're not holding anything up.
But
Yeah.
it's quite possible that at some point in the future, after another couple of storms or whatnot, and some billionaire will decide to buy all 3 lots and put a monstrosity
Sure.
up there.
Mhm.
And I don't know if we'd mind.
I don't know. I mean,
You'd have to do it on stilts.
Well, it'd be
Yeah,
still.
it's the elevated.
Because he
and-
has,
yeah.
he's in a VE zone, he's gotta be 12 feet.
Problems.
And-
Make it White House.
you know, they.
Now
have
he's blocking
tanks
my
for
horizon
waste.
view like those turbines.
He'll be,
Cisterns, tent, you know, like.
Oh, yeah.
It's.
Yep.
It's like a camper
Yeah.
on an island. They don't, you
Right.
know, is,
Yeah,
because they have, when they
Yeah.
have generators and solar or something.
right.
like
They
that.
use rainwater for water.
So
Yeah.
cisterns, like North
Yeah.
Dumpling.
Yeah,
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 exactly. Yeah.
that's right.
North
That's right.
Dublin's really nice. Though.
North Dumpling's got land on it.
No, it's got a nice house.
Well, he developed, it was supposed to be developed for a resort.
Here's
It's
a
a
question.
beautiful place.
Okay,
That
so,
little house off of Eastern Point Beach, what's the zoning on that?
You know, it's the same zone as what's on the land adjacent to it.
Okay.
It doesn't, it's like, I don't know all the city zones, but it's a
It's-
single family zone, you know, that 20,000 square foot required, something like
you
that.
mean the one that's on the rock?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so probably anything they do, they'll have to get a variance.
Right.
That's a city.
Absolutely,
city.
that is a city problem. Yeah, that's the first one we looked at, because we knew, oh, maybe the city's got it figured out. Yeah.
No,
So,
just seems
Anyway.
like we're wasting money.
Well, we need to get a zone on these things. Yeah.
Okay, so we have new applications,
Yep, got a couple of them.
2 referrals. We have 2 referrals from the town of Stonington.
Yep, one of them, as you all noted, is to increase the height in the flood hazard zones. And the other one is revising the definition of medical clinic to allow surgeries, and I don't know. if
Does
there's any
anyone
impact
have
on
any
Groton, but-
concerns with either one of these? Because they really don't impact
Us.
the town of Groton.
That's right.
No.
No.
Hmm?
That one section of the spec that they highlighted and lined out,
Mhm.
was that,
That's what
because-
they want to eliminate.
that's because of that new building? Because I heard that. the
Oh, I don't know
elevator-
why.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is it's an elevator shaft thing, that's correct, but that's probably, I didn't do research on who these folks are who are applying. but
Yeah, I
You're
just,
probably
I
right.
looked at that and I said.
You're
I
probably
bet
right.
I know.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yep.
The Misfit Club, that's the remodeling of the Nano Brewery that was there around.
Yeah, Barley Head, that's
Barley
right.
Head.
Mhm.
Yep,
Also becoming a drinking establishment.
yes. Yeah, they're not going to be brewing there.
They were drinking a lot before.
It
You
was a
can be a
big,
misfit or you can be was it danger?
Danger bar.
Danger bar, danger
Yep.
bar. I have all these little
Pick
tiny
your
places.
poison for the night, right?
That's right.
So danger bar, one word.
One word, yeah.
Yep.
okay, so.
Maybe it's a copyright issue.
The IP.
So no comments on these
Got it.
Stonington ones?
No.
Yep.
No.
Okay, commission reports, reported chair. There is,
I can interrupt or anything. I'm actually on High Street and I got a letter to come here about the danger bar.
it's
Oh,
too late.
the hearing's closed
The
and you've
hearing's
already taken
closed.
action.
Because few of us were at the next row. And we
So
didn't
no.
know about it.
Yeah.
That's why all these people came in at the last minute.
Yeah, it's already been approved. They've already
What
closed the hearing.
exactly is the name? I live on High
A
Street.
little bitty bar.
It's just a
There are
small,
20 bars, like literally from my house to the bridge on this side. And I mean, the parking, the noise, the beer bottles, I mean, it's horrendous. Is this an after hours bar? Is
No.
this there's no parking? I mean, where are these people going? Is it a nightclub? Is there, I mean,
no. It's just
I
a
just,
bar.
you know.
It's a tiny little bar. It's no worse than, probably a little bit worse than the barber shop that was there, but it's just a little bar. 25 seats.
You can watch us. This is on.
Yeah, it's all taped.
It's
Yeah,
not-
well, like I said, you know, a bunch of us were sitting next door for
Sorry.
an hour and then we found out, came here, that's why. Yeah, we all walked in, so
Mhm.
I just was last man standing.
That's all right.
All right.
Okay.
That was actually in the very beginning of our meeting.
Well, that's why I had the letter at 7, so I've been over there since
Sorry.
Porter Road.
Yeah.
And
It should have said community room.
Community room.
they
too.
did not. They did
Didn't
not,
say.
and walked in, we all went into the first one.
Mhm.
Actually, we did that committee room too. This is the announcement, yeah.
Yeah, so I just walked in.
Missed that part.
We all walked in the first one,
Sorry.
Okay.
so. Okay, all right.
You can watch it on the video that we had.
Yeah,
So you
I
can
figured
learn.
I'd already missed it, but at this point, you brought it up, I just figured I'd find out.
Mhm.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay,
Well, what was your name?
My name,
Yeah.
Brenda Kilhenny.
Oh, okay, just because you spoke, I don't.
Oh, that's all right. I'm really the only resident on High Street that actually faces that building.
Got it.
Everything else up here. Thank you. Have a good night.
All right. All right, reported chair. There's,
Yep.
I only had one item. There's a, I don't know what you want to call it. A housing seminar, I guess you could call it.
Yeah, yeah.
Seminar. It's
Yep.
going to be held on September 11th. And I don't know if anybody would be in, it's an all-day affair.
If anyone's interested, we can
Is anybody
register
interested?
them.
Yeah,
Does it count as a training requirement?
Yeah,
Would it?
it's in person, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Whereabouts is it?
It's in a hotel
Where in Haven?
in New Haven.
Yeah, I think.
Okay. So if anybody else, you know, check your schedules. If you let us know by the end of the week.
It's an all day.
Yep.
All day session.
Yeah.
Leaving for
Yep.
one's long trip after that, the next day, so yeah.
Okay.
It's on a Wednesday, middle of the week.
So you won't be at one of the meetings in September.
Probably not, but I might be able to zoom.
Okay, fair enough.
It's at the Hotel Marcel on Sergeant Drive.
No idea what that is.
Okay, we'll send the announcement out to all of you, and again, if any, by Friday, if you could let us know.
Okay, great.
Anybody go to harassment training?
Yes, I did.
We learned how to harass.
That's got one coming up.
Oh,
That does count as-
That's,
kind
I
of
didn't
training.
realize that's required.
Apparently,
Yeah, it is.
It's required by.
We didn't get the notices.
Oh,
I don't know.
you didn't?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
well, we
You
get
take
separate
separate,
training,
yeah.
yeah.
I got a
I
message.
didn't realize that was mandatory.
I thought it went out, but the town clerk sent it out.
Right, just two commissioners, right,
To commission.
right, so I don't.
They did
I-
a separate group for all of the ABCs, the agencies, boards, commissions, because now we are all considered under state law almost
Employees.
equivalent to employees. So we have to have the same harassment trainings.
Which was really aimed at employees. The statute isn't very.
It's appropriate for us.
In some,
It's appropriate.
some of it.
It's because you can make claims under CHRO law now.
Mhm. Okay, report of commission. Does anyone on the commission have anything to report? Report of staff.
I just have one thing, regarding Colonel Ledger Estates. So work is ongoing out there. It's really picked up since the Public Works Director and I met with a homeowner and then really, made it very clear to the developer that this needs to get wrapped up. So sidewalks right now sidewalks and drainage are going in along Colonel Ledger Highway. The remaining sidewalks have been installed in the subdivision. There were drainage issues. Electrifying a street light and the park development are still outstanding. I expect to have a full update for you guys at the September 10 meeting. I'm also expecting a subdivision modification application for this development to eliminate some work that is done off-site to realign an intersection with Colonel Ledger Highway. So we'll see. Yeah.
I just had a question for report of commission.
Oh, yes.
Horsley Witten, what the things that they're gonna be addressing, did you say what they were gonna be addressing?
For zoning?
Yeah.
Yeah, so certainly Mouse Island, right? The FEMA regulations, looking at those in terms of height.
Oh, okay, all right.
And then maybe doing an analysis of, we have limited funds, so what.
No,
as
okay,
far as we can.
I guess I should have
Yeah.
just. The RM zone, we had some conversations about maybe changing some of the uses that are allowed in.
In the RM,
Isn't it RM?
that's multifamily. No, I think it's MTC and MVC,
Yeah, okay,
right? Yeah, exactly.
although, like, what,
Yeah, looking at whether or not, essentially whether gas
The
stations and
the
car
neighborhood,
washes.
yeah, those
Yeah,
things.
if those things are appropriate,
Yeah.
when they're,
Is that?
that's on
something
the
that-
list. We've got a big list for them, so we'll get through what we can.
Okay, I mean, that
Yeah.
seems like,
Yep,
like low hanging fruit maybe, or
Yep.
like something that could be
Yep.
just to add things or delete things
Yep.
or something. Okay, that's
Okay.
it, sorry.
all right, and then, the RM in the, multifamily in the IM zone, and then a couple of the items that you guys were discussing tonight, I've got that on the list too.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Same people that did
Jeff.
this?
Jeff's the lead on it.
Good.
Yep.
Yeah,
Anything
just to
else?
give feedback. They continue to do a very good job for us. They
Yeah.
really do.
They're
Very valuable input.
easy to work with for sure on the staff level.
And they listen.
Anything else?
No, that's all.
Okay, when we have the ASP report and application. Okay. Anybody have any questions on that?
About the
Hmm?
flyer, the monthly, that we delayed, from the CFPZA newsletter.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Was it what
you
the
just,
other-
I didn't know if you want to discuss it then yet.
Oh, I don't know if anybody had any.
Oh, just, we're just. that-
Or if
That's
you
the
had any
section we'll add
thoughts.
it back to
Yeah.
on the next time we get one.
Right.
And I just,
Well,
the
sometimes people have questions on it.
exactly, the short-term rental decision that came down, I've asked town attorney to look at our regulations with regards. to
Oh,
that.
there is
So
something
So,
that has been resolved. then?
yeah.
Well,
I'll send the case out to you, with the, I forgot how to pronounce it. Case, basically, short-term rentals are allowed, but it was very specific to, that particular zone and those particular circumstances. So I don't know whether or not it's gonna impact our regulations.
I don't think it would.
I don't
Well,
know.
the point, I think, is that we made our decision and would change them if somehow that decision came into play. And I think we did a very good decision. We made a good decision to say, okay, let's do it that fashion. Let's not wait for something
Right.
that doesn't appear to have any analogy to
Right.
what we just did.
Yep.
That's my opinion. So.
So
on the surface, I think so.
lacking any regulation, that would have been, it's allowed. But since we have regulations.
No,
No,
I don't think it said that.
no, it's not saying,
Well, that's on.
town attorney has to,
No.
well, if it was.
Well, you're gonna send it
I,
out
I'll send you the case.
so we
yeah.
can read it.
There have been a couple of newspaper articles as well.
Yeah.
But again, Rich Cody is gonna look at it against our regulations and let me know whether or not we want to change anything.
But at least we have something to start with, rather than being nebulous.
Very.
Hmm?
Very rigid.
Even if they have to be changed, I think you're better off, at least.
That's what I was wondering. I was worried that
Is
it
he just
applied to Mumford Code.
he's
I
going to anticipate what
That's kind of what it was.
I know.
also
I thought
in
that
the
was,
same situation, what would happen?
that drive people crazy.
He's gonna be looking, so this was not an appellate decision, it was a superior, right? So it is essentially law.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so he's just looking at our regs.
But when it's
against that.
case specific,
That's,
that makes it sort of hard to, mean, you're
that's
just
exactly right, just.
guessing that you could potentially still be
Sure.
denying somebody.
Sure. Sure.
Well, yeah, but
Sure, but I mean, this was a really hyper-specific case. I mean, the
was very
circumstances
specific.
were not at all what we've experienced here. So we'll see.
I think it was,
Yep.
you know, it was based on
Hmm.
how you interpret or how you
Mhm.
apply zoning regulations. But your whole law system is based on court cases. All it's supposed to be, except for the Supreme. So no comments on ASP application updates. Does anybody have anything else?
Nope.
So I'll accept a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second? Go to second.
Right. Oh, it's like-
Good.
Even the end button's weird.